The guy with the backpack is me, Kyle. And the thing I'm running towards, it's a little free library. After passing by a couple in my neighborhood,
You see, here's one right there. And here's another one, like a quarter mile away.
I began to wonder.
How many little free libraries are near me?
So I turned to the internet for answers. According to the official website, there are over 200,000 worldwide. But that was just a few too many for me. So I set a boundary in my area to see if I could put a book in each of the 22 little free libraries that fell within the line, all while carrying them in a backpack during a single long run. This is Little Free Library Run. I slipped on my backpack, walked out the door, and took off down the sidewalk, like a schoolboy late for the bus. Now, at this point, I wasn't actually carrying any books. You're probably thinking, but Kyle, the challenge is to drop a book at each library. How are you going to do that without any books?
On my way to Goodwill right now to procure 22 books.
That's how. So I made my way there, knowing this is the lightest my backpack would feel for a while.
Just made it to Goodwill. I'm about 3 miles in so far. Time to load up on some books. Found the books. Time to grab 22 of them. We got Crossroads. Kind of makes sense in terms of running. The Other End of the Leash. Who doesn't love dogs?
As I sifted through the books, I wasn't looking for anything particular. I was just grabbing the covers and titles that caught my eye. The definition of judging a book by its cover, which we're taught not to do from a very young age. But in this situation, it seemed to make sense. At least to me.
Getting things done, because we're out here getting things done. The things they carried. So I'm carrying books.
Perhaps there are people who pick their next read from the Little Free Library in the same manner, grabbing a book at random just because the look or name of it calls out to you.
We got 22 books. This feels a bit heavy, but let's go check out. I saw in the neighborhood there's like 22 little libraries, so I decided to go for a run and we're gonna put a book in each one of them.
Oh, I saw those too.
Yeah, the little free little libraries that are around, so
That's pretty cool.
yeah, something to do.
After feeling like I had to explain why I was buying so many books, I paid and left.
Books have been acquired. Now we gotta get them into the backpack. This is gonna be heavy. In order to make this happen, gonna have to carry some of the books early in a bag, and then the other ones are in the backpack. This is a lot of books, 22 of them. So let's start dropping them off and lighten the load here as we go.
With books on my back, as well as in hand, I was off to leave a book at my first Little Free Library, which got me thinking about the first one ever built in 2009 by Todd Bowl of Hudson, Wisconsin, which happens to be my home state. Maybe this self-imposed challenge was meant to be.
This one's a little stocked, kind of busy here, but let's see. We're gonna go from the bag first to reduce weight. About just kids right in here. Boom. First book has been dropped off. Off to find number 2.
If there aren't other morons like myself out there running around with backpacks on, putting books in the libraries, how do they work? Little Free Libraries function on the honor system, with the motto, take a book, leave a book. It's a real-life, what would you do with John Quinones, Are you going to do the honorable thing by giving and taking, or run off with a stack of books? And that made it nice to see so many of the libraries were well stocked with books. Clearly they weren't being ransacked. Got to appreciate being able to trust your neighbors. In fact, little free libraries can strengthen community connections. They're like the literary water cooler of the neighborhood. You see your neighbor at the LFL. Have you read any good books lately? Yeah, I'm actually just putting something back. And they're holding 50 Shades of Grey. That's when you learn your neighbor Carl fancies romance novels. Now you have something in common, something to talk about. As I continued on to the next little free library, I couldn't help but associate running and books with the Barkley Marathons. Feeling like my own personal Lazarus Lake, placing books around to be discovered by others. Obviously, they won't have to cover treacherous terrain to find them, and I hope nobody rips any pages out. Unfortunately, I made the same mistake I made at the Barkley Fall Classic 2024.
I just realized that I missed one. I should have dropped off at 6 so far. I'm only at 5. Luckily, I will be going back through that neighborhood somewhat, so I will be adding extra mileage for my mistake, because I should have read the map better, considering this is a thing about reading.
I was now a library behind, and on a new choose your own adventure route. But it was off to the next one.
What's now number 6 will be on this street somewhere.
One of my favorite things about this run was seeing all of the unique libraries. This one has AstroTurf on the roof. There were classic designs that look like the ones available on the Little Free Library website. And this one here has a rustic cabin vibe going on.
Shoulders are getting a little sore. Perhaps I should have been emptying both the bag I'm carrying and what's on my back more evenly. But yeah, we're putting it all on the shoulders. We're down to like 2 books left in the bag. So almost done carrying that, which will be nice.
I wasn't even halfway through, and already starting to complain. For someone who's run 100 miles, and also separately run with a carved pumpkin bouncing on their head, you'd think that I'd be able to run around with a backpack on for the afternoon. That's why you gotta challenge yourself regularly. Keep yourself on your toes.
I'm having trouble finding the one on Sinclair. I don't know. This one, I am not able to locate.
Just when I was starting to think that I may have to put 2 books in one of the other libraries.
Doesn't seem like it was exactly where it was saying on the map, but it's right over there. Found it.
Despite all the complaining about my shoulders, I decided to put the last 2 books from the bag into the backpack.
We can make this work. The backpack is definitely going to be heavier, but hand will be free, at least one of them, since I am holding the camera.
Something that I found interesting was how many little free libraries were in such close vicinity to one another. Maybe someone out on a walk saw an LFL and thought, hey, I'd quite like one of those at my place. And I love that, however it happened. Just means there are a lot of books available within a few short walks.
We got the first Harry Potter book in here. This just makes me think of sitting around with my mom When I was younger, she would read these to me, and as the series went on, I was getting older, and I started reading them to her. It was just a great way to bond over reading. So this really reminds me of that.
I had a truly emotional moment here. The kind where years of memories flow through your mind instantaneously. As I ran on, I just thought, if only I could go back to one of those moments in time. Even just to watch my mother and me sit there, reading a book together. But the reminiscing would have to wait for later. There was a task at hand.
On my way to the one I missed, luckily the route brought me back to the neighborhood. It is a little out of the way, maybe a half mile or so. Can't leave one behind. I'm a little over 13 miles in. We've got 4 little libraries left to go.
It felt like starting the final chapter of a good book. I was in my neighborhood now, dropping off at the little free libraries that inspired this challenge. It's interesting to think that I may be sharing books with people that I regularly pass by on my daily runs. You never know who is visiting the local LFL. The creativity continued to impress me. This one is perfect for near the beach.
Second to last book, Getting Things Done. Makes sense. On to the last free little library. The journey is almost complete. Legs are tired. Only one book left, but going up this hill, it's been slow. Last one, 22. The things they carried to represent the 22 books that I carried throughout the day. That's it. Now I just gotta get home. That's 17.8 miles. Should be less than a mile back to the apartment. Let's wrap this up. Whew. I'm at 18.7. I'm so close to 19. Let's make the challenge just a little bit more challenging. Get the extra 0.3. Feel good about hitting that round number. A lot of people wouldn't care, but I do.
As I finished up this unnecessary extra distance, I started thinking about how I'd celebrate having completed this challenge. After a quick shower, I grabbed a beer and a book that my sister Carrie had given me for my birthday. It felt like the perfect way to close things out, enjoying the gift of reading that someone had shared with me.